If you are a 20 handicapper, it's really easy to look at Instagram and see all these people that hit it a mile and say that they're plus handicaps and think like there's no chance of you ever getting there. But improvement is a lot simpler than you think it is. There's a big piece of it that comes down to strategy. There's also a big piece of it that comes down to you using your time wisely. Because we can play this game for borderline as long as we want, right? This is a lifelong learning game. So we might as well just continuously be chipping away at getting better. Hayden, what do you think is maybe one of the biggest misconceptions for lowering your handicap?
Yeah, everyone thinks so for the 20 handicapper, it's I just need to make more birdies and pars. While it might feel that way, the data actually says that the higher handicappers are making more big numbers and your bogey or double bogey or triple bogey or quadruple bogey avoidance is going to be what really like cuts down scores, what really sets you apart from your peers within your handicap grouping.
To give a little bit of context there, a 20 handicapper is going to make about 4.4 birdies per round. A 10 is going to make zero point 0.8. A 5 handicap is going to make 1.1 birdies per round, and a scratch golfer is going to make 2.2. So there's not even two birdies difference per round between a 20 handicapper and a scratch golfer. But doubles per round, we're looking at 6.6 for a 20 handicapper, 3 for a 10 handicapper, 1.7 for a 5, and 0.25 for a scratch. So there's your difference. I mean, that's 12 shots right there just in doubles. We're not even
Yeah.
talking bogeys.
Yeah.
So birdies go up just a little bit as you get better, but your doubles are going to fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
What do you think most
Well,
people
I
would
I really I
yeah.
really wanna dive into that real quick. Isaac's gonna put those numbers up on the screen, but we look at birdies per round. Okay, so the 10 handicapper has, doubled the amount of birdies from point 0.8 to point 0.4 as a 20 handicapper, and the scratch has doubles the amount of birdies per round as the 5 handicapper, 1.1 and 2.2. But what's super, super important to understand, like it's a 5 shot difference from the 5 to a scratch is double. It's a 10 shot difference from birdies per round for the 10 to the 20. But what happens is when we go the doubles per round, it's cut off for like look at this. It's 0.25 for a scratch compared to 6.6. It's such a huge gap. Like when you start eliminating the doubles and the triples or the big numbers per round, your handicap just astronomically gets better.
Yeah. Well, Hayden, let's jump into how we can actually do that. So for a 20 handicapper, what does that look like in reality? Do they need to keep it in play more, hit more greens, three putt less, all the above? What is going to be the biggest lever they can pull to start making less doubles?
So yeah, number one, super easy. The 20 handicapper, you need to play your own game. You need to understand that the thought of what are they going to think about me? What is someone going to feel if I keep hitting 3 wood off the tee because I hit 3 wood better than driver? What are they get? You just got to cut all that out. You got to block out the noise. Play your own game. If you're a great chipper, make decisions on the course that highlight you being a great chipper. If you're better with a 3 wood and it stays in play so much more than your driver, just keep doing that. Stop worrying about what other players think. A favorite yardage that you have, plan around that. Get to those spots on the golf course that make you the most comfortable and play your own game.
Well, and to playing your own game for a 20 handicapper, listen, I'm always going to encourage keeping strokes gained, right? Use a strokes gained app. Obviously, we're coming out with one. There's a bunch of great ones out there. That's going to give you the most detailed and most context filled stats that you can utilize to start understanding what your strengths are and your weaknesses are. If strokes gained is a bit much for you, keep track of tee shots that land in play that give you a clean second shot, your scoring average from 150 yards and in, how often you're getting chip shots inside of 20 feet, and then your putting average from inside of 8 feet and your putting average from outside of 30. We've also got a free little download and that I'll put in the description that'll allow you to keep those and understand where your baseline is as well. We've got a baseline in there for your 20, your 10, and your scratch golfer. But it's really hard to know what your game is if you can't really put a number around it. Like in theory, right? I could have gone and said, man, my iron play is really, really good right now, but I'm losing strokes. But I hit two good shots during that round that made me feel like, oh, my irons were good.
Yeah.
What do you think that that 20 handicapper needs to really, really focus on? If we were going to make maybe a generalized statement about okay, what's the easiest way that they can spend 30 minutes at the range to reduce doubles?
If you were going to ask me, it would be to visualize certain spots on the golf course that give you the troubles, that give you the fits. Play those holes. Really hone in on, okay, the water's left, the trees are right, whatever it may be, play that hole. Stop going to the range and just picking up a bucket of balls and just hitting until you hit a couple good shots or hit until you feel like, you know what, my swing feels good. I'm hitting the center of the club face because that's not training you out for the golf course. No
Mhm.
professional athlete that plays football or basketball does any type of reps that aren't simulated game time reps. You see NBA players scrimmage all the time. You see NFL players, they're not just throwing to the wide receiver when there's no defense on them. They're doing it when they're learning their routes. But you got to shell. You got to figure out how can I put myself in the game time situation and boom, when I perform there, then I'm going to perform on the course.
And if you listened last week, we did a really good episode with Christian Brandt, who's inside the top 250 world amateur golf rankings, won a bunch of opens and really high level amateur golf tournaments. And he talked a lot about having a really solid process that you can go back to over and over and over again. And I would say it's a similar case here. No matter what level you're at, if you're working on the same things over and over and over again that are lower barrier to entry. So maybe for you, you're spending your lunch break 10 minutes a day rolling putts through a gate, making sure you're hitting it on line. And then when you do get outside, you can work on speed control on the greens, and then you work on visualization, like Hayden just said, and then maybe you work on contact drills, right? Like, let's keep this thing really athletic. Let's make sure that
Oh,
we're
yeah.
building it around our abilities. Swing changes and swing tips from a professional are going to be really, really valuable as well, but we can't always have a professional with us. And when we don't, and we don't have maybe a clear idea of what we want to do with our swing, let's focus on building those skills that allow you to get the ball in the hole quicker. And speaking of getting the ball in the hole quicker, we kind of have an idea of what we need to do as a 20 handicap now. There's a lot of really basic things that we can do there that are going to allow you to continuously get better. And what you're going to see is as you get better, it gets harder to get better, right? The closer you get to quote unquote perfect golf, the harder it is. And so as we get into being a 10 handicapper, um, you're gonna have some lingering things from being a 20, right? Some of the things that you struggled with as a 20 are gonna be maybe the same as a 10. Like that's your golf DNA. You're probably still gonna have a similar miss unless you went through some major swing change. Um, but we're gonna be making less doubles as we get down to this 10 handicap. Or if you're at a 10 handicap right now, Hayden, let's use you as an example. You're out there caddying a bunch. You've played a bunch of golf with people in this range. What do they need to be working on to take them from a 10 down to a 5 or even down to a scratch?
Yeah, so we keep talking about its elimination of the bigger numbers. We looked at those stats. When you see the 10 handicap, they're absolutely having less doubles. They're not really having any more birdies than the 20 handicap. But some of the things that they do really, really well, and some of the things that help them is that they have a boom or bust type of round. So the booms can be great, but the bust is just what you talked about. It's some of those habits, some of those lingering things from your 20 handicap days just come creeping up on you. I mean, I'm not wrong, right, Isaac?
No, I think you're spot on. I mean, even, for me getting better throughout college, well, I'm sure for you too, like, yeah, I still have some of that scar tissue, right, from
Mhm.
similar issues. Those don't really go away that easily. I think that kind of the big thing here in this 10 handicap range is, like you said, we've got this really wide range of now we can touch in that mid 70s, but we can also shoot 100, right? Like the handicap system is your best 8 scores out of your last 20, correct? And
Mhm.
so keeping in mind what your expectations should be. Yeah, you can hit some great shots and you should celebrate those, right? Like that you can be happy when you hit a good shot. But also keeping in mind for a 10 handicapper, your proximity from 50 to 100 yards on average is going to be 41 feet. And that's good. Like, so if you can get inside of 41 feet, that's awesome. 32% green regulation is going to be for a 10 handicapper. So if you hit a green, that's a positive. Like that's awesome. And you're going to three putt some too. You're going to hit some really tight. There's all kinds of range and variables, and golf is hard. So take it easy on yourself. but as you're trying to get better, like I said, focus on those skills that are gonna allow you to improve, which was off the tee, keeping it in play, giving yourself a clean second shot, lowering your scoring average inside 150 yards, chipping it close, not three putting, and then making putts inside of 8 feet. Anything to add there, Hayden?
Yeah, a 10 handicapper is an objectively good golfer. You know, what's the average handicap is around a 20-ish. I think it was like 18 or it's 19,
Yeah,
something like that. It's an objectively good golfer. I know a lot of 10 handicaps that can hit some awesome shots. You know, you have a 10 handicap on your scramble team, they might win closest to the pin, even though they might be the third or even the fourth best golfer. But as we shift to what is the zero, the scratch handicap golfer, it's that boomer bust mentality. You can have some stuff creep in that really can cause those high numbers. And so last
yeah,
thing I wanted to say just about that is that if you are a 10 handicap, you're looking to get to go down into those single digits, just understanding that bogey's your friend. If you hit it at a play, take your medicine and get back in play, wedge it up on the green, near the green, get up and down, two putt, whatever it is, fight hard for those bogeys. Don't see bogey as something that, again, if you're a 10 handicapper, you absolutely have the ability to make a par. You absolutely have the ability to make a birdie. But if you don't do it, bogey is not killing your rounds. Bogeys are your friend.
correct. Well, like we talked about expectations a little bit, let's go to some approach play expectations. So, starting at a 20 handicap, from 50 to 100 yards, average is going to be 49 feet. From 100 to 150, it's 81 feet, and your total greens and regulation is going to be about 14%. For a 10 handicap from 50 to 100 yards, you're at 41 feet, like we said. From 100 to 150, this is where I think the expectation can get a little wonky because this is like a sand wedge, a gap wedge. If you hit to 57 feet, that's average. So if you hit it to 50 feet, that's an above average shot from 100 and let's say 10 yards, right? And you're going to hit about 32% of your greens in regulation, just under a third of total greens. So if you hit six greens, you exceeded expectations. And then for a scratch golfer from 50 to 100 yards, 26 feet is your average. From 100 to 150 yards, it's 38 feet. So you're playing with a scratch golfer first time, and they hit a shot to 30 feet from 110 yards. That's an above average shot. That's an above average shot. And they're going to hit 59% of greens in regulation, which is under two thirds,
Yeah.
about 11 greens, right?
Yeah. And that's where that
And
expectation management, it really just comes into play. Isaac kind of teased it. I've been caddying a lot at a local private club down here in South Carolina. And we just got to understand that some of these guys I've caddied for, they could be those 10, 15, 20 handicaps, and they've hit certain shots, whether it's a short-sighted shot to a tuck pin, and let's say it's 20 feet away, but it's 20 feet away from a 150-yard shot. I mean, that's an objectively, if you were aiming at the pin, which a lot of times that's a different conversation. It's course management. Should we be aiming at these pins? However, it's 20 feet away, 25 feet away from a pin that far away. You are within, well within your expected range. But the expectation management is okay. I hit it close. That is okay. I have my brother in law. Whenever he plays golf, he's very athletic minded, very competitive. Gets very upset with poor shots. Does not practice hardly ever or at all. And I always tell him like, hey man, look, you don't practice enough to get upset. You don't practice enough to see and expect or to understand that these shots need to be going in these certain ways. Absolutely not. Expectation management. I know Isaac touched on it, but it's huge. It's so important.
yeah, my dad is a six handicap and has within the last 2 years shot under par rounds during tournament conditions. There is a ton of variability in your scoring. Be excited when you exceed it, and don't be surprised when you go below it. There is a reason you have an average score. It's because you shot above it and you've shot below it.
Yeah.
That's the fun part about golf is you get to go out and make the most of the skills that you have that day. And the making the most of those top end rounds is actually what's going to help bring that handicap down or allow you to play better golf long term is getting the most out of how you're playing tactically as a 10 handicap. Keep it the same. Keep that process the same. Maybe we just tighten up windows that we're trying to hit it in. Maybe we just say instead of trying to get 2 out of 5 on this drill, now I'm trying to get 4 out of 5 on this drill. The process needs to stay the same for the most part. Like we said with that episode last week with Christian, he kept hammering that home process, process, process. And you'll see this on the PGA Tour sometimes. Like guys were great in college and they go out on the PGA Tour and they think they need to change everything when the process that they were already doing got them there. And it's probably going to keep taking them further. Maybe you may need to make little tweaks here and there, but stick to your process that got you where you are. And if you don't have a process, we'll talk about that in a future episode, or you can go back to the previous episode. We had some good conversation in there. Moving on to a scratch golfer, Hayden. As somebody who you're a scratch right now. I'm kidding you, Hayden. I mean, what do you actually? You've got to be plus 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's around plus 4.5, but, I'm not putting in every round.
Mm.
It could be better, could be worse,
You got a lot of tournament
could be
rounds in you,
better, I'll say
though.
that again.
I was gonna say your tournament rounds probably like my tournament rounds torch my handicap.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're mostly tournament rounds. Yours is very legit. Mine is vanity.
Right. Well, if I'm playing with handicapped people, I'll make sure that I go in and input like rounds from the past. Like it's very much like, so if you're listening to this and you're like Hayden's always sandbagging me, like trust me, my handicap is legit the day that I play. I just got to do some maintenance and make sure that it's all above board.
yeah. Well, what's the difference maybe mentally between let's say you're out caddying, the guest is a scratch golfer, the member's a 10 golfer, 10 handicap golfer. What's the difference between those two just from a like mental and approach perspective?
Yeah, people would almost immediately think distance when that's not actually the case. There's lots of scratch golfers that don't hit it far at all. It also depends on what tees you play, but it's very, very, very much a mental shift. And the mental shift is that even when I'm not at my best, I can still score. That's the mental shift, and it's simple in the way it sounds, but the way it practically looks is you hit it out of play, you get back in play, and par is still an attainable score. So whether it's a poor tee shot, the punch shots up to the green, the chip shots from very difficult spots, they keep par very, very, very much in play. As we saw, the scratch golfer has significantly more birdies than any of the other handicap groups, but it's the doubles that is where you see the biggest difference. Scratch golfers are having a quarter of doubles per round, 0.25. It's super, super, super important. And what I really like to speak to is that they keep their misses manageable in the sense that spots where they're missing the greens, spots where they're missing their tee shots, they have already pre planned in their decisions off the tee or in whatever that this is where I'm going to aim because I know my game, just like we talked about with the 20 handicapper. And I know my expectations, just like we talked about with the 10 handicapper. I'm going to make my misses happen in a manageable spot. And they really simplify the game. And for a scratch golfer to stay a scratch golfer, those are some of those things that you should continue to work on. Your manageable misses, all that kind of stuff is going to be your edge.
Hayden, if I asked you what you think the average score of average scratch golfer is, this can depend on what kind of courses they're playing, but per golf, my golf spy, what do you think the average score of a scratch golfer is?
I want to say, because again, it's 8 of your last 20, and it doesn't also account if you're playing your home course every time, which you're going to play better at your home course. I'm going to say 75.6. We're going to get really technical with it.
74.1. You're close. There I'm seeing some conflicting numbers out there. Kind of 74, 75 is the sweet spot. But that's for every, let's say you're playing a par 72 every single time. For every time you shoot 2 under as a scratch golfer, you're also going to shoot 80.
Yeah.
So back to that expectation management, the key with those 80 days is make the most of it. Try to learn a bunch, learn how do you get the ball in the hole as quickly as possible. I mean, at 59 average of 59% greens in regulation, you're yeah, like in reality, for every time that you hit 80% of greens, you're also going to hit 40. So, you got to keep in mind that there's going to be those really really good days and then those bad days you just get to make the most of it. And you've got looking at it that way, I get to make the most of this. That's what makes golf fun.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes a real game.
Yeah.
Um, and I think another big piece with this scratch golfer and even moving down the ladder is there's a level of consistency and understanding of where the ball is going to come off of the face a little bit better, what a good shot feels like, and where the ball is starting. So if you don't have a process already at the range, those should be part of your process. Can I make solid contact? Yes or no. Can I start it where I want to? Yes or no. Can I make it finish where I want to? Yes or no. Like if you can work down that ladder, that's going to make, yeah, that process is going to allow you to play really, really good golf very quickly. Um, and honestly, the difference between some 10 handicaps and some scratch golfers is that mental side, like you said. Being able to take your medicine, being able to play smart off the tee, being able to chip it onto the green the first time, being able to control your speed a little bit better on the greens. Some of this stuff is just process oriented, and that's why, like I said, I want to keep leaning into process, process, process. Hayden, you've got some putting stats for me, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Putting stats, breaking it down, is that when you look at the average per round for 20, it's 33.4. For the 10, it's 31. The scratch barely dips under 30. It's 29.9. But something that I really want to highlight is for a scratch golfer. And so again, we look at these scratch golfers, the low single digits. It's the golden, the holy grail, the golden tablets, the fleece, whatever it's what we're looking for. They only make their putts from 6 to 9 feet 49% of the time. It's half. Basically meaning that, like, if you're missing those putts from 6 to 9 feet as a non-scratch or a scratch, just you move on.
Yeah.
Move on.
One of the ways
It's
yeah,
yeah.
I was just gonna say in college, once I started getting to the stats a little bit more and understanding baselines and all that good stuff, I kind of adopted the mentality of after a bad shot or after a missed putt, it was like, man, I'm statistically due. Like this isn't even like I don't even need to convince myself that I'm gonna start playing better because statistically, I'm gonna make one of these eventually. Like it's not I have nothing to do with it at this point. Completely removing yourself mentally from the result. I'm going to keep going through the same process. You just can't get emotional about the result because that's why there's averages. Like, okay, statistically, one of these is going to drop. Statistically, I'm due to hit one close, or if I'm driving poorly, statistically, one of these drives is going to find the fairway. Like, I'm just due statistically, and that way you remove the emotion from the outcome and you just focus on the process, and that makes accepting the result so much easier. Um, th Are we missing Hayden, I feel like we haven't talked about stuff. What have we not talked about?
We haven't talked about mechanics.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about club position or swing plane or what different gadget, new hip thing to buy. We haven't talked about that. We just talked about simple mind shifts, simple things that are free that you can practice on your own. You can take to the range, you can take to your next golf round, and it's going to elevate your game.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is decision making. A lot of it is process. A lot of it is, if you wanna call it damage control or taking your medicine or whatever you wanna call that. Hayden, I'll ask you this. If you were to advise the 20 handicap listening to this, what do they need to do with their next week?
Yeah.
Are there things they can do sitting in their office? Are there things that they can do when they get to go to a simulator because it's still freezing out? What for that 20 handicap, we'll call him Luke, for example. What could Luke do in the next week based on this conversation?
Yeah, Luke, if you're listening, if your name is Luke, that's pretty awesome. But for that 20 handicapper, find your big numbers. Find your big numbers. And Isaac has put out this great stat tracking PDF program. It's really simple. He's going to repeat it right now.
Yep, it's that simple stats tracker. It's in the description. You're keeping your ball in play and giving yourself a clean second shot off the tee. You're tracking your scoring average from inside 150 yards. You're making sure that your chips are getting inside of 20 feet, and you're tracking how often you do that. And you're keeping track of your putts from inside of 8 feet and outside of 30. And it's got those baselines down at the bottom as well. This is if
Yeah.
you are not into strokes gained. I want to make that very clear. am fully aware that detailed statistics, even though it's not that difficult to keep track of during a round or whatever, I understand that's not for everybody, but that's what this is for.
Yeah, and so that's going to highlight where are your big numbers occurring. Even though, you played yesterday, hole 17, 18, you hit good approach shots. Well, that doesn't count for 1 through 16. That's when you feel good, "Oh, I hit the ball great." No, we find the big numbers, and then we eliminate them. We figure out the ways that we can reshape our thinking, and if we reshape our thinking, we're gonna reshape our actions. That's how we play our game.
Then for, let's say, a 10 handicap, what can you focus on? Let's focus on just being buddies with bogey. Like, hey, if I can turn doubles into bogeys and then turn the occasional bogey into an occasional par, that's how I'm gonna kinda keep creeping down. It doesn't need to be pretty. Like, we can hit little slap cuts out there and hit little low hooks into greens. It's just gotta be predictable. We're trying to get the ball in the hole. Don't try to flop it over a bunker. Let's get this thing on the surface. Let's give ourselves a look. Don't hit 2 bad golf shots in a row. This is not saying that you're not allowed to make, everybody hits bad shots, but don't make 2 bad decisions in a row. If you hit a bad drive, which you will, make a smart decision. If you hit a bad iron shot, which you will, make a smart decision. If you hit a bad chip, you chunk a chip, you were trying to play a smart chip, safe chip, and you chunk it, just make another smart decision. Continue following bad execution with smart decisions, and that's going to really help your scoring. Then let's roll into scratch, Hayden. I'm a
Yeah.
scratch golfer. My goal for this year is to be a plus handicap. What can I do?
Yeah, if you wanna be a plus handicap, continue think your way around the golf course. Keep your misses manageable. It's really the scratch golfers simplify the game so, so well. They hit it out of play, they get back in play. They think their way around the golf course. They play to their strengths. They do a lot of the things that we really talked about with the 20 handicappers and the 10 handicappers, the mental shifts. They do those things, and the great thing is that it starts becoming subconscious for them. That's just what they do. They don't really have to actively think about it. It's just a part of their game. They make bogey their best friend. They do. I'll tell a really quick story. When I was growing up, the local pro at a public course around us, and I'm not lying about this. He had a dog, and his dog was named Bogey, and he had it as a puppy, and the puppy would come and watch him give lessons. And someone asked him one day, like, "You named your dog Bogey. Why didn't you name it like Birdie or like that's something like positive?" And I'm not kidding you. He would say that Bogey is my best friend, and he wanted to as the have that be a funny little little joke, but it's actually true. Bogey is your friend, and the scratch golfer absolutely believes that as well. They hit a ball out of bounds, they work their butt off to make the next ball be a birdie, which would be a bogey on your scorecard.
Here's how you can not get better at golf this year. You're going to show up to the range without a plan. You're going to hit a bunch of 7 irons in a row to the same target. You're going to pound drivers without a plan. You're going to get out on the golf course. You're going to take that big head cover off first thing every single time. You're going to expect yourself to hit perfect shots. You're going to try to hit the hero shot every single time. That's how you're going to play worse golf this year.
I'm covering my ears. I don't tell me that. I don't want that.
The nice thing is, all these things are avoidable. It is in your hands if you want to play worse golf. It is in your hands if you want to play better golf. That's the fun part about this whole thing. We are at the end of February, beginning of March. We can start to hear that Masters music roll around. We can start to imagine that there's grass that is shining through the snow or that there's no snow. Playing better golf this year is up to you and is up to your decision making. Anything to add there, Hayden?
No, Isaac and I love talking about this. We love breaking down how to get better at golf. Um, It really is. It really is as simple as you want to make it. And when you really hone in, you really practice, you really think about how can I change the way I think, you're gonna change the way your scores show up.
And from a tactical standpoint, if you want to improve your practice, if you want to make it more efficient and effective, the Clarity Golf app is launching March 29th. I'll put that founders pricing sign up down below. Super pumped to get that out. We're finishing up beta testing now. This thing is going to be, I really genuinely believe that this is going to change the way people look at golf and is going to allow them to get better quickly and enjoy golf significantly more. So hit that link below. If you want to get on the wait list for that lowest price, it's going to launch March 29th and then it's going to end 2 weeks later. So it's going to be a little window there where you can lock in some really good lifetime pricing on that. Really pumped about that. Hayden, good conversation today. I'm really excited to no longer be a 20 handicap and to be a 10 handicap this year. I guess time is limited. Play ready golf, and we'll see you next week.
See y'all.